Hi, this is Jan from Log Cabin Leather, and I'm here in the cabin home where I make all my handmade leather pictures. I'm not sure how well this looks right now because it seems like my picture's not very good. I'm kind of leaning over here because where I have my camera facing onto my workshop table because what I've been talking about is how I carve pictures on leather. So let me put the camera down this way. And what I am working on is carving. This is a hand carved picture I'm working on. I draw myself or whatever. It started with, again, kind of in my mind. I have 2 videos so far in this series where I talk about the whole process here, but just a recap of that. How I start the picture is I kind of visualize something in my mind. So in this case, I visualize a particular mountain. This is called Mount Chicorowa. It is here in New Hampshire. It is one of my favorite mountains. It has this beautiful lake below it, which is absolutely gorgeous in the fall time, but has loons and so forth on it. So that's kind of the basis for where I'm starting this picture. So a lot of times the mountains are just random, something that I think of in my head and that kind of thing. So that's where, I looked online and I got kind of the outline of the mountain. It does have trees in here. So I've kind of, on this piece of paper, I've drawn that. I haven't put that detail on here yet because when you start a carving, again, I start from the front and work to the back. So the most important things are the animals or whatever I'm putting on the picture. In this case, it happens to be a bird, a loon is what it's called. And so I'm going through the process of how you carve this. The first tool I talked about in the first video was this tool, which is called a swivel knife, which is what's used to cut all these outlines of things. And it turns and you cut around the outlines. So I talked about the first video is how I draw the pictures. Second one is using the swivel knife. This week I'm talking about how I use my bevelers. Now there are 2 types of bevelers you can use for leather work. One is used, pardon me, I'm going to get my drill. One is used on belts, and this is a bevel. And again, totally different tools. This one is used to smooth out the edges of things. So it is, you put it on the edge, like this is I use on belts. And it rounds off this edge. Assuming it's easy to cut yourself on this. It rounds off that edge. So for belts, it's to make the edges smoother. You do it on front and back. So that's one of my most popular tools. And I'm putting it back in my toolbox because that goes with me wherever I go. So that's a kind of bevel. That's not the bevel you use for carving. For carving, you have all sorts of other bevels, which are here. This entire row, the second row up in this tool, these are my carving tools primarily, are for batting down the background is basically what it's going to do. So how you use these, and I guess I can start over here. And again, this is hard because it's hard for me to get the camera where you can see and where I can work without the camera hitting my elbow. You do have to have the leather wet. It needs to be kind of a certain moisture. If it's too wet, the tools drag. If it's too dry, it doesn't work as well. The idea is you're molding the leather. So now what you do, again, this is one of the most common ones. These come in quite a few different sizes, wider, narrower, things like that. You put it in the groove where you have cut, and you basically slide it along as you tap. And that's how you can tell if the leather is wet enough. If it does not slide nicely, it drags, the leather is not wet enough. And there's, different tools to do different details in here. And again, I was doing this in a different video, and sometimes I go over it again to make it even deeper. And so you go over the details like that. Generally, I do start with the things that are in the foreground and then work to the background. When I paint, it's the opposite, which I will get into because basically in this series, I'm taking you from start to finish on this project. Not showing the entire process, but showing it in bits and pieces. Now, I am going to turn this because to do something on the bottom, you need to have it facing you. So turning the picture, and that's why it's also hard on camera because then, of course, it looks upside down. But see how this is pressing down the background is basically what I want to do. Sometimes it makes those little marks because I'm leaning it too far and the edge is touching and making a little mark. So sometimes you go back and smooth it over. There's other tools I can use. And basically you cut. And I am not going to show this whole process because I think, in all honesty, this is pretty boring to watch me do this entire thing. I really need to turn it a little bit to do in here. And again, that's hard to do with where the camera is because I'm going to knock it. And, you know, obviously that's not good for recording. So I'm going to go back over here. Now the wings themselves, to do with the tips of the wings, there are other tools to do that. Those are not bevels. Those are wing tools. Don't know what they actually have they probably do actually have a name, but right now I cannot think of them. So there are other little tools to do the, see, I'm kicking the camera already. Tools to do the edges of the wings and so forth. But again, I'm not to that point at quite yet. It didn't curve up under this guy's chin. Again, because see, it's really easier when you have it turned. Again, so different tools to kind of get in the curves. Again, this I really need to turn the other way. And like I said, that's hard to do with the camera here because I don't have enough space. So that's basically what you do with the design. I'm going to go around, you know, all the edges. I'm going to do the baby, you're going to do the wing lines in here and so forth. These lines in here, again, on the wings themselves, will be done with this type of bevel. But then the tips of them will be done with some of the other ones. So again, to make these, you know, these will go like that. So a lot of little details put in, and then again, more tools to finish it up. And I will be showing some of the other aspects of how you really kind of give it the 3D look here and so forth using some other tools. So I'll be working on that next time. The other thing I'm going to start now is a little bit on the background on this, because this picture, the birds, the loons are in the water. It doesn't interfere with the background so much. Sometimes if it was a different animal like a moose and it is part of the scene, then the background has to, you know, it's a little harder because you've got the animal in there and you're doing the details behind it. I generally do start with what's in the front and work to the back. So now the trees and so forth will be what I'm going to work on next time, which is this row of tools is all tree tools. So a lot of different tools to get little details, different trees for pine trees. This is, you know, different trees to do the leaves on a deciduous tree, things like that. So I'll be kind of sketching in where the trees are going to go, using the bevel again to make the trunks and things like that. But then the branches and so forth, use some of those other tools. So that's what I'll be talking about next time. If you want to follow me on my page here, on my channel, and you can see more of these videos on how I create my hand carved pictures. Thank you very much. That's going to wrap it up for now. Once again, this is, let's see if I can get myself back here on the camera. All right, there I am. Once again, this is Jan Hibbard, Log Cabin Leather by Jan, here in the basement of my log cabin home, showing how I create my one-of-a-kind hand-carved pictures. Every picture is different, and so basically I'm showing you the process this month, somewhat start to finish on this one particular project, but basically this is the same process I would go through with any picture I am creating. So if you want to find out more about this, check out more of my videos on my channel. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Bye.